Hello everyone, and welcome to round number 5 of the 1970 Palma de Mallorca Interzonal Tournament. Here Bobby Fischer with the white pieces faces Czech chess grandmaster Miroslav Filip, and Filip was a really strong grandmaster. He represented Czechoslovakia in 12 consecutive chess Olympiads. He won the championship of Czechoslovakia 3 times, and before this game he already faced Bobby Fischer 7 times. First he faced him in the Portorož Interzonal Tournament, then he faced him in the Stockholm Interzonal Tournament, then they played four games in the Curacao Candidates Tournament in 1962. That's where Fischer first ever defeated him. The first 2 times they played together, the game was drawn. Then once again in the Varna Chess Olympiad in 1962, and this is game number 8. So in the 7 previous encounters, 5 of the games were drawn and 2 of the games were won by Fischer. But last time they played, it was 1962, and this is 1970, so 8 years have passed. And surely Miroslav Filip has gotten much stronger in those 8 years, but so has Bobby. So without further ado, let's check this game out. And this game will be quite a treat because Fischer opens the game with 1b3. Sorry about that. Fischer opens the game with 1b3. So the Nimzo Larsen attack. We have d5, bishop to b2, and now knight to f6. Knight to f3, e6, and since black never really shown any intention of developing the b8 knight, usually when you go for a Nimzo Larsen attack, when black develops knight c6, you will go e6 and bishop to b5, but as black did no such thing, here Bobby goes g3, he prepares for a double fianchetto. Bishop to e7, bishop to g2, we have castles, c5 now, c4, and here Bobby is basically inviting Filip to push the pawn to d4, close the position, but if Fischer allows this, then surely Fischer is prepared for this, and if you're not prepared for this, then you're not going to have a lot of fun playing this. So instead, Filip goes for knight to c6. We have c captures on d5, knight captures on d5, and now knight to c3. Bishop to f6 by Filip, and here Fischer could go for a series of exchanges, but that doesn't really give white all that much. Knight captures, bishop captures, rook to b1, pawn captures knight, rook captures bishop, and now after d4, all is well here for black. So after this bishop to f6 move, queen to c1, Fischer simply defends the bishop on b2. We have b6 now, knight captures on d5, e captures on d5, and now d4. And here bishop to a6 by Filip. It seems like Fischer is offering a free pawn here, but not really. Of course, you can't capture with the pawn because the knight is hanging on c6. But after knight captures, now you can either exchange your bishops or not. You can simply play c captures on d4, and you are up a pawn as black, but it's double the d pawn. Not really something to look forward to. Queen d2, rook d1 will win the pawn easily. So after d4, Filip goes for bishop to a6, attacks d2 pawn, but also pins it as the rook is on f1. We have rook to e1, getting out of the pin, but also now protecting the e2 pawn. And only now Filip goes for knight captures on d4. We have bishop captures on d4, so allowing Filip the bishop pair. C captures on d4, and now queen to a3, attacking Filip's bishop on a6. Bishop back to b7, and here we have rook a to d1. Now you can see that black is up a pawn, but again it's a double the d pawn, and you're not going to be able to defend it. Bishop to e7 attacking the queen, queen to a4 now with a triple attack against the d4 pawn, queen to e8 offering a queen trade, but now Fischer declines and only now recaptures on d4. Rook to c8, and now queen to f4. Now the material on the board is equal, but you can see that Fischer has 2 pawn islands and Filip has 3 pawn islands, and Filip has this isolated d pawn, which Fischer will make sure that it remains a target. Bishop to f6, we have knight to d4, and now bishop to e5, attacking Fischer's queen. Queen to e3, and now g6. Knight to b5, a very nice move that really, Philip has to decide what to do here. Fischer is offering the knight. If queen captures knight, then Fischer will play queen captures on e5. But what's the idea? If you play something like a6, then you get a bishop captures on d5, attacking the undefended bishop on b7. After bishop captures, rook captures. And again, you can capture the knight, but now the bishop is attacked twice here. So after you move the bishop, simply queen captures, rook captures, and after knight attacks both rooks, bishop captures, rook captures, and after rook to c2, you can play a4, and black can capture on e2, but you can capture on b6, so white will remain a pawn up, and in Fischer's hands, this would most likely turn into a victory. What Philip missed here after this knight to b5 move is a very subtle idea, so feel free to pause the video here and try to find a nice move Philip could have played here. It's not really anything that, you know, changes the course of the game. It would be a slight improvement, but a move like this might, you know, stick with you and help you in the future. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent player. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, here a move that could have been played is rook to c5. Simply attack the knight on b5, and now you're threatening d4, and also the knight is attacked, so you do have to do something. Knight to d4 is the best. It blocks the d pawn and gets the knight out of the attack. If you capture here, then you lose the game. Then comes d4. After you move the queen, simply captures, and now queen to a8 checks the king and picks up the knight on a7. Let's say king g1, queen captures on a7, and it's game over for white. So a very interesting idea here, rook to c5. But okay, in the game, Philip went for queen captures on b5, Fischer played queen captures on e5, rook f to e8, attacking Fischer's queen, queen back to b2, and now rook to c5. Philip knows that Fischer will now create an attack against the d5 pawn, so he will use the open c file to double up his rooks. We have h4 by Fischer, rook e to c8, Philip doubles up on the c file, and now rook to d2. Fischer doesn't allow Philip to bring his rook to c2, but also prepares to double up on the d file. Rook to c3, grabbing more space, now comes rook to d2. Queen to c5 with a triple battery on the c file, and now, well, bishop captures on d5 is definitely a possibility. You can play this, grab the pawn immediately. First, Fischer wants to get rid of any weaknesses he has in his own camp before he captures the d pawn. First, b4, attacking the queen. Philip moves the queen, queen to e7, and now not capturing the pawn just yet, but first e3, getting all of his pawns on dark squares first. We have h5 by Philip, and now comes even a3. So Fischer put all of his pawns on dark squares, so none of the pawns will be Philip be able to use later as targets, and only now is he ready to capture the d5 pawn. King to h7 by Philip, and now comes bishop captures on d5. Bishop captures, rook captures on d5, and queen to e4 now. And Fischer plays rook to d8. Rook to d8, a very nice move because it completely immobilizes the c3 rook. If you ever move the rook, let's say rook c2, seems like a very nice active move. You get queen h8, this is checkmate. So, a very nice move by Fischer. Of course, you don't want to allow the exchange here. Philip played queen to f3. So, what do you do here? King to h2. It's a wonderful move by Fischer because, well, at some point Fischer would definitely like to bring his rook over to d7, threaten the f7 pawn, but currently this loses to rook c1 check. If you move the king, you get queen to h1 or rook to h1 checkmate. So if you capture, you would be down a rook, so completely winning game for black. So first, after this queen to f3, simply king to h2 by Fischer, not allowing, if this rook ever comes to c1, to be able to play this with check. So we have rook 8 to c4, and now comes finally rook 1 to d7, attacking the f7 pawn. We have g5, but now simply other rook comes to f8 with a double attack against the f7 pawn. King to g6, now comes rook to g8 check. King moves back, and now rook captures on g5, grabbing that another extra pawn, and black now has simply no counterplay. The queen on b2 is beautifully placed, guarding against queen captures on f2, and also, as we've said, you can never move the c3 rook because, well, okay, now it's not queen h8, but now queen to g7 will be checkmate. Here, rook to c8 was played. Philip brought the rook back. Now comes rook 7 to d5 from Fischer, king to h6, and now rook d to f5, and it was in this position that Miroslav Filip resigned the game. The queen is under attack. There's really no good square for the queen. You could play something like queen to c6, but then you get queen to e2. Again, the threat of queen captures here will be checkmate. And there's no good way to defend this. You can try something like this, simply give up the queen for no reason, but white can simply ignore you. Let's say rook f6, and after you capture, only then deliver checkmate. So yeah, a wonderful game by Bobby from round 5, and yet another opportunity missed by Filip to get at least one win against Bobby Fischer. So this is their 8th game together, and so far the score is 5 draws and 5 wins for Bobby Fischer. So an excellent game. Bobby Fischer is currently 4.5 out of 5 in the Palma de Mallorca Interzonal Tournament of 1970. Very nice tournament so far for him, and like I said, especially for someone who didn't even qualify through the 1969 US Championship Series. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you're enjoying the series so far. Thank you all for watching. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. I actually pre-recorded this video yesterday. I'm currently in Belgrade. I came to Belgrade to meet David Lada. He's there on business. So if you're interested in what's going on, feel free to follow some of my other social media, and keep in touch. So yeah, thank you all, and I will see you soon with game number 7. Hello everyone! I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday, as here we have a very nice game from a match that took place on Father's Day. It's Hikaru Nakamura versus Komodo, the Dragon engine. Now, it's a new engine on chess.com. It has 20 levels, and this is a game he played against Komodo level 14. Now, in all of the games, Nakamura had the white pieces, but after the game, he also played, after the match of 20 games, he played against all 20 levels. Then he also played 3 more games, but against a stronger, improved version. But we're gonna visit that after we check out this game. So, as human engine matches today are very rare, so it's very interesting that Nakamura agreed to do this. And we're gonna check out his result after we check out this game. So prior to this game, he already defeated the first 13 levels, and now he faces level 14. I believe it's rated around 2100 something, but if you think that's like playing against a 21 something human, you would be mistaken, because it's always more difficult to play against an engine. But you are also welcome to challenge level 14 yourselves and see for yourself. So that being said, let's check it out. Nakamura has the white pieces, and he opens with b3, the Nimzo Larsen attack, and he has the right idea. You don't wanna try some aggressive openings and take the game immediately into heavy combination waters. So better to go strategically into this match. We have d5, bishop to b2, knight f6, e3, and c5. Knight to e2, knight to c6, and now d3. d4 could have been also played, but here Nakamura plays d3, and he allows this d4. Okay, we have e4. Now this dark square bishop isn't doing all that well. e5, g3, bishop to e7. Nakamura fianchettos the second bishop as well. And here you could simply start with castles, maybe develop the bishop or something. But here actually Komodo goes for a very interesting pawn sacrifice. Here Komodo plays c4. And it's very interesting that you can actually capture this pawn with either the b pawn or the d pawn. But of course, it's always it's principle to capture towards the center. And it's interesting why Komodo does this. After b captures on c4, queen to b6 is played. So developing the queen with an attack on the bishop. So still forcing Nakamura to figure what to do here, and still kind of keeping his king in the center of the board. Bishop to c1, getting the bishop out of the way. Now bishop to g4. We have castles, and now h3, kicking the bishop back. Bishop to d7, knight to d2. We have a6, and here Nakamura is up a pawn, but his position is very boxed in. So here he decides to seemingly ruin his position, but not really. He plays f4. We have e captures on f4, g captures on f4, and now knight to e8. preparing to remaneuver the knight and also make room for his bishops. And as you can see, the kingside structure here of the pawns isn't all that great, but Nakamura will use this very nicely and use the g file to create a nice attack against the black king. Knight to g3, we have bishop to h4, king to h2 now, knight e7, knight to f3, and now bishop captures on g3. King captures, and yes, Nakamura's king is on g3, but you know, all is well here. Queen d6, king goes back to h2, we have f6, and king goes back all the way to h1. Rook to f7, and now queen to e1, preparing to bring the queen over to g3. Knight g6, queen does come to g3, rook to b8, and king to h2 now. Here Komodo seemingly doesn't have a plan. Probably b5 was the idea here, but for some reason Komodo now plays rook to d8. We have f5, kicking away the knight, knight to e5, and now bishop to f4. Knight captures on f3 with check, bishop captures, and now queen to b4. Bringing the queen over to the queen side and maybe go after those weak pawns. But Nakamura doesn't really care. He plays bishop to h5, attacks the rook here, rook to e7, and now rook to f2. Preparing to bring this rook over to g2 and also preparing to bring the a1 rook all the way to g1. So queen to a3, we have rook to g1, and now king to f8. You can't capture the a2 pawn. If you capture the a2 pawn, then you get bishop to d6, and this rook doesn't have anywhere to go. And if you capture here, then queen captures, and again, there's no way to save this rook. Only square available to this rook is e5, but after this, of course, you get queen captures on f6, and it's game over. You can't defend both checkmate and queen captures on d8. So after rook to g1, we have king to f8, getting out of the g file. Rook f to g2, now with a nice triple barrier on the g file. Bishop to a4, and now queen to h4. And here, queen captures on a2 is played. Komodo really underestimated Nakamura's attack here, and capturing a pawn, it's not about capturing a pawn just. There is no better move you can do here. If you play something like rook d to d7 to kind of maybe defend the position a bit more, then you get this bishop to g6 idea. And of course, now the queen can easily come here to checkmate the black king. And of course, if you capture, then again, queen h8, king moves, now pawn captures, king escapes, and now queen to g8. Rook to f7, and now comes queen to e8 check. And the king has nowhere to go, so you have to block with the rook once again. Rook moves, and now queen to g8, a nice windmill idea. Rook has to block again, and now pawn captures. And here, black is completely lost. After captures, we have captures, simply captures, 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 and the white will be up a whole rook. So after queen to h4, there is really no good move here. So rook, queen captures on a2 was played, and now Nakamura has several ways of dealing with this position. You can simply capture the knight on e8 and then go for rook captures on g7. But Nakamura plays a nicer idea, bishop to h6. And now there really isn't anything to do. Of course, capturing is impossible due to rook to g8 checkmate. And after what was played, king to g8, and now we have bishop captures here. And queen to a3. Queen to a3 is very much necessary, but it doesn't really help in any way. After rook captures bishop, then you get rook captures. And after rook captures, of course, king to h8, and now after queen captures on f6, there is no defense here. Queen captures on c2 check, and now rook blocks, and by blocking check, also the queen now delivers checkmate. So after bishop captures, we have queen to a3, and here Nakamura plays bishop captures on g7. It's a completely winning move, but it's a longer win. Better yet was rook captures, because now you have rook captures here, and after king h8, now of course queen to f6 will be met with queen returning, and it will prolong mate for some time. But after rook g8 check, simply king is forced to capture, and now queen g4 check, king has to move, and now queen to g7 will be checkmate. So yeah, after queen to a3, bishop captures on g7 was played, bishop captures, and now bishop captures on f6, opening up a discovered check from the rooks. Bishop g6, we have pawn captures, now king moves from the g file, g captures on h7, threatening h8 queen, rook captures, queen captures, and here there is really nothing to do anymore. queen d6 check. Komodo, at least on this level, it doesn't seem to be able to resign. So here, even the queen is given, bishop captures, and after king here, Nakamura even delivers checkmate to Komodo, the dragon engine. So rook to g8, and this is checkmate. So yeah, a very nice game by Nakamura against Komodo level 14, and it's interesting, yeah, we already said that he defeated all 13 levels prior to level 14, and he defeated all levels up to level 19, and he defeated level 19, and only he lost one game, and that's the Komodo level 20. I'll also, if you want, I can also show that game as it's very nice. And then after these 20 games, Nakamura faced an even stronger Komodo engine called Komodo Monte Carlo. And here I did prepare some, it's from an article by Peter Dodgers on chess.com. As you can see, in these 3 games, all with 10 minutes plus 5 seconds increment, Komodo Monte Carlo was running on a powerful 16-core computer, i9-7960X, overclocked to 4.1 GHz, 64 GB of RAM, and 5-piece Zigzag endgame table basis. Okay. And the key difference is that Komodo Monte Carlo chooses its moves by win probability instead of traditional evaluation. The approach is similar to the probabilistic methods of the machine learning chess projects AlphaZero and Lila Chess. So very interesting, but against the Komodo Monte Carlo, Nakamura did not play regular chess, rather, of course, the strong engine had to give Nakamura odds, and in all 3 games the odds were different and were very interesting. So I will put a link to the original article. You're very welcome to check it out, and check out all of the games there, especially the 3 games against Komodo Monte Carlo. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Thomas Thompson and Oliver Purge for a contribution to my channel, and congratulations, Oliver, on your 3.5 points out of 15, and play less poker, more chess. So yeah, as usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon with hopefully a nice video. And I almost forgot, yeah, I did prepare a photo challenge for this video. So here it is. Best of luck to everyone. You all know who it is, so I'm pretty sure you're gonna really nail this one. Here it is. Who is this very nice gentleman? So yeah, that's it. Thank you all, and I will see you soon. Hello everyone, I hope you all had an excellent weekend. We're back at the 1970 Palma de Mallorca interzonal tournament. It's Bobby Fischer versus the Brazilian Grandmaster Enrique Mecking. Now, this is not the first time Fischer faces a Mecking, but we're gonna talk about that after we do the photo challenge. Now, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an easy one, but nevertheless, he is a bit young in this photo, so best of luck to everyone. Who is the gentleman here? There you have it. I mean, the facial expression is there. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you will know this. And a lot of you have suggested that I should say who was in the photo challenge of the previous video. In the previous video, it was Boris Spassky, but I will not be doing this because as soon as some of you get the correct answer in the comments, I will give that comment a heart. And then probably some 5, 6, 7 of you, after you give the correct answer, I will give all of your comments a heart. And then when someone scrolls down, you will see in the comments, the first 7 comments you will see will be the correct answer to the photo challenge. So that's basically what I had in mind. Some of you might have gotten this, some of you might not have, but there's no need to explain in every video who was the person in the previous photo challenge. Just scroll down and you will see them. So that being said, let's check it out. I did not do a video on the previous game Mecking and Fischer played because prior to this game they played in Palma de Mallorca 1970 a couple of months ago. Before this game there was a very nice tournament in Buenos Aires where 2 of them met. It was a very nice Grunfeld game. Mecking drew against Fischer with the white pieces. I think it was around 30 moves or something. It's a very nice game. I still didn't do a video on that game because I am planning to cover the Buenos Aires tournament at some point. But I did cover a game Mecking played against Miguel Najdorf. It is really a beautiful game. So for those of you who are interested in Enrique Mecking and some of his games, I will put a link to this video in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And as I did not start this series with Fischer winning the Buenos Aires tournament as well, even though it was a very impressive victory. He crushed the field there as well. It's not it's not really a part of the World Chess Championship series, so I decided to skip it. But you know, just for fun, these are the final standings of the Buenos Aires tournament of 1970. I think it was played in August. The Palma de Mallorca tournament is played in December, so a couple of months ago. So there we have it, Bobby Fischer with 15 out of 17. So 0 losses, only 4 draws out of 17 games. That is very impressive. Followed by Tukmakov, Pano, Georgiou, Naidorf, Reshevsky, Smyslov, and making there you have making in 8th place. So very nice. I just wanted to show you that Fischer was in extreme form when making managed to draw a game against him in 1970 Buenos Aires tournament. At some point I will probably cover this tournament as well, and then maybe add it to the Fischer series, but not now, as currently we're going after the World Chess Championship series. But as in that video where making faces Miguel Naidorf, I did say something more about Enrique making, so feel free to check it out if you want to learn something more about the Brazilian Grandmaster. So that being said, let's check out this game. We do not have a photo of the matchup, but you know there are very few photos of the 1970 Palma de Mallorca tournament. Fischer once again opens not with any of his main weapons with e4, rather he opens with b3, the Nimzovich-Larsen attack. d5. Bishop to b2, c5, we have knight to f3 and the knight to c6. And I was sure I did this before the video, for some reason I haven't. Knight to c6, we have e3, knight to f6, and now bishop to b5. A standard idea in the Nimzovich-Larsen attack. White will often give up this bishop for this knight, give up the bishop pair early, but because he already has this nice setup a3, b3, a2, b3, and c2, and a nice fianchettoed bishop on b2, the semi-open b file for the rook will not be compensation enough for the ruining of the pawn structure. We have bishop to d7, and now castles by Fischer. e6, d3, bishop to e7, and now Fischer captures on c6. Bishop captures and bishop captures. You don't want to play pawn captures, as we've just explained that. Okay, you do capture towards the center, you kind of improve your central structure a bit, but it's no compensation, as like we said, the semi-open b file for the rook is not all that great now. So after bishop c6, we have bishop captures and now knight to e5, and of course making goes rook to c8, not allowing Fischer to double his pawns. Knight to d2, we have castles, and now f4. Fischer, of course, wants to complement his dark square bishop by placing his pawns on nice e3 and f4 dark squares, where he will gain further control of these nice central squares. Knight d7, offering a trade of knights, and here we have queen to g4. You don't want to do something silly like play h6 here, as you have to see that the bishop and queen are eyeing g7, so after knight captures attacking the queen, it's game over. You either lose the queen or you will capture the knight and get checkmated. So making, of course, goes knight captures on e5, bishop captures on e5, and now to avoid checkmate he plays bishop to f6. We have rook to f3, Fischer does a nice rook lift, queen to e7, and now the other rook comes to f1. So it's very easy for Fischer to develop his pieces. He gave up his light square bishops, but he does have the rook pair is nicely doubled on the f-file. He does have a very nice bishop on e5, and still he has to figure out how to get the knight from d2 to a more active square. We have a5 here. If you play something like g6 to start defending before there's any threat here, that's not something a grandmaster will usually do. Here you can simply choose whether you want to go rook h3 or how you want to proceed here, but you don't want to give white any targets just yet, as f5 is not immediately a threat. So first a5, we have rook to g3, and now bishop captures on e5, pawn captures on e5, and now f5. It's often the situation where you will have to decide how to defend g7. Will you play g6 or will you play f5 so the queen can guard the g7 pawn? Here, if you play something like g6, this will immediately be met with rook to f6. You will never be able to push the f-pawn anymore, and white's plan will be very simple. Rook will come to h3, queen will come to h4, the knight can easily come into the game. This would be winning for white. So after f5, after f captures on e5, we have f5. E captures on f6. Fischer does not mind opening up the f file, but also by playing f5, Fischer wins a pawn. So we have e captures on f6, rook captures on f6, and now I'm sure all of you can see how to win a pawn here. It's a nice little trick. Feel free to pause the video here and try to win a pawn here for white. So I will give it a second if you want to just try and do it, as it is a Monday, so you might be a little bit lazy. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent pawn grabber. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, queen captures on g7, of course. Queen captures, and now rook captures on f6. The queen cannot capture back as the rook pins the queen. So queen captures g3, h captures on g3, and now rook to e8, defending the pawn here. And here Fischer goes for the top engine recommendation, g4. Simply pushing the pawn, preparing to meet king g7, attacking the rook with g5 and cementing that rook on f6. G4, we have a4, knight to f3, pawn captures, and king to g7. And now g5, as we've said. e5 is coming. Now Fischer plays knight to h4. It would be very nice if he could get knight to f5 with check into the game, so bishop to d7 preventing this. And now rook to d6, a very nice way to activate the rook. We have bishop to e6, and now king to f2, simply improving the position of the king. King f7, we have rook to b6, attacking the b7 pawn, rook to e7, defending the pawn, and now e4. Captures, and we have c4 now. And of course, Fischer does not want to trade down. He wants to play b4, push his pawn to a dark square, and all of these pawns will now remain targets for black. Fischer does not want to push c3 anytime soon, because he doesn't want to allow ideas like rook d7, and then the rook will be able to come to d3. This way, it's a very nice pawn that prevents the rook from infiltrating his position. We have bishop to g4. If white can get king f3, g4, and knight to f5, then it's pretty much game over. So bishop to g4, preventing this. Fischer goes king to e3. We have rook to d7, and now g6. A very nice pawn breakthrough that allows Fischer to go forward. King to f8. If you capture, then after knight captures, there's really no defense against this beautiful fork, which will check the king, fork the rook, and fork this bishop. Whatever you move, you will always be able to fork something here. So after g6, king to f8, we have g captures on h7, threatening h8 queen, rook captures on h7, and now knight to g6 check. King moves, and now knight captures on e5. And now you can see that all of these lonely pawns are still targets. The bishop on g4 is under attack. You have to either move it or guard it. King goes bishop to c8, and now comes knight captures on c4. King to d8, and now knight to d6. We have rook to g7, king to f2, king to c7, and now knight captures on c8. King captures, and here we have rook to d6, and there is nothing more to do here. Fischer is up 3 pawns, and the Brazilian grandmaster decides to resign, as there is, well, it was resignable before as well, but sometimes you don't resign when you should, but rather for some reason you keep going for a couple of more moves. But now there's really no point in continuing playing this game. So yeah, that's the game. Round 21 of the Palma de Mallorca 1970 Interzonal Tournament. Bobby Fischer versus Brazilian Grandmaster Enrique Making. And like I've said, feel free to check out. I will put both the link to the PGN of the Making versus Fischer game from 1970 Buenos Aires, and also a video I made on the Enrique Making versus Miguel Najdorf, also a very nice game. I suggest you check it out for the game, but also to learn something more about Enrique Making, also known as, I believe it's Mequinho, they call him. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it and that you are still enjoying the Bobby Fischer series so far. I would like to thank Krzysztof Jarecki, Guilherme Galus, and Richard Sand for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. We have 2 more videos in the Palma de Mallorca tournament, and then we are off to the 1971 candidates matches. But both of those videos, I believe, I will save for tomorrow. For this evening, I have another video planned. So yeah, thank you all, and I'll see you soon.